In the Christian Bible, there are two genealogies of Jesus, one in Matthew and one in Luke. Why are these genealogies important? What the Gospel authors want to show is that Jesus is a descendant of King David, who is from the tribe of Judah. This is one of the requirements for being the Messiah. Matthew and Luke want you to know that Jesus meets this requirement. The problem is, the genealogies don't match. Here is a list of both genealogies starting from King David onwards. Both go back further, but the real discrepancies start here. As you can see, they are almost completely different. That itself should be alarming. Which one did Joseph, the earthly father of Jesus, descend from? In this video, I'll be focusing on the genealogy in Luke. Let's start with Joseph's father. In Matthew, Joseph's father is a man named Jacob. In Luke, it's Heli, or Eli in some translations. We've only gone back one generation and already we've got a problem. Is it possible that Joseph's father had more than one name? After all, this does happen a few times in the Bible. Well, if we go back a few more generations, the names still don't start matching up, so there's no plausible reason to suggest Heli and Jacob are the same person. So how do we account for the two different genealogies? The common apologetic is that Matthew traces Joseph's ancestors, while Luke traces Mary's ancestors. But what does the scripture in Luke actually say? Jesus was about 30 years old when he began his public ministry. Jesus was known as the son of Joseph. Joseph was the son of Heli. Heli was the son of Mathat, and so on. The verse clearly states that Joseph was the son of Heli. There is no mention of Mary, or that these are Mary's ancestors. One idea is that Luke meant to say that Joseph was the son-in-law of Heli. This does not hold up. Firstly, because the text does not say that. And secondly, Jewish genealogies go from father to son in order to preserve the tribe they came from. A Jewish man's children take on the tribe of their father, not their mother. So Mary's tribe is not important. If we want to know if someone is the Messiah, we need to check their father's lineage. Not only does Luke clearly specify that this is Joseph's genealogy, he is also careful to mention twice that Joseph is a descendant of King David. Yet he never explicitly mentions Mary's tribe, and neither do any other verses in the Bible. Luke does not provide any explanation or reason for us to consider that this is Mary's ancestry. Furthermore, Luke writes in the introduction to his Gospel, "Inasmuch as many have undertaken to compile an account of the things accomplished among us, it seemed fitting for me as well, having investigated everything carefully from the beginning, to write it out for you in consecutive order, most excellent Theophilus, so that you may know the exact truth about the things you have been taught." If Luke is attempting to provide a definitive, orderly account of the Gospel, not only by writing this book, but also the book of Acts, why would he omit something as crucial as Joseph's genealogy? Since the Messiah must be from the tribe of his father, why would Luke simply focus on Mary's ancestry without clarifying his reason for this? There's a variety of apologetics regarding this problem, most of them attempting to solve it by adding information to the text that was never there to begin with. Let me briefly discuss a popular workaround. Some argue that this is Mary's genealogy and that her tribe can be passed down to her son because of a certain incident in the Old Testament. In the book of Numbers, the daughters of Zelophehad come to Moses and plead their case. Their father died and he had no son to pass on his inheritance. His daughters ask if they can receive the inheritance themselves. Moses asks God, and God says yes, saying, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. If a man dies and has no son, then give his inheritance to his daughters." So now, even if someone points out a discrepancy in Matthew's genealogy of Joseph, Luke makes up for it by providing Mary's side. Because of the precedent in the book of Numbers, Mary can now legally pass on the lineage of King David to the Messiah. But here's the problem. The genealogy in Luke is still Joseph's. There is still no scriptural evidence to say otherwise. But for argument's sake, let's say it is Mary's genealogy. Luke mentions nothing about using this inheritance workaround. Not only is Luke supposedly listing a woman's genealogy, which was already unorthodox, he's also depending on a certain event in the Old Testament to prove his case. The whole notion is so obscure and unexpected that it begs for an explanation, yet Luke provides none. In order for this inheritance law to apply, Mary's father would have to be dead, and she must not have any brothers. This cannot be explicitly confirmed in the Bible. The inheritance spoken about is physical property, not tribal lineage. The daughters of Zelophehad were talking about land. If the daughters wanted to keep their inheritance, they had to marry someone from the same tribe as them. If they marry someone from another tribe, then their land inheritance becomes the property of their husband's tribe. So let's say this law applies to Mary. Let's say she has no father and no brothers, and so she's granted her father's inheritance. If she marries someone from a different tribe, then her land inheritance is lost because ownership would transfer to her husband's tribe. This indicates that no rules have changed with regards to tribal lineage. When a woman marries, she takes on the tribal affiliation of her husband. This is why her inheritance would transfer to her husband's tribe. In turn, her children will also take on the tribe of her husband. So Jesus would still be considered to be from his earthly father's tribe. This workaround makes no difference to the situation. There is one more problem with Luke's genealogy that I want to mention. Luke states that Joseph descends from King David's son Nathan. Matthew, however, has Joseph descending from David's son Solomon instead. So while we know that Jesus has to come from the line of David, the Gospels cannot agree which son of David the Messiah descends from. The problem gets bigger. David was from the line of Judah, and God told him, "When you die and are buried with your ancestors, I will raise up one of your descendants, your own offspring, and I will make his kingdom strong. He is the one who will build a house, a temple for my name, and I will secure his royal throne forever. I will be his father, and he will be my son. If he sins, I will correct and discipline him with the rod, like any father would do. But my favor will not be taken from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I removed from your sight. Your house and your kingdom will continue before me for all time, and your throne will be secure forever." Who is God talking about here? The following verse clarifies. "But you, David, will have a son who will be a man of peace. His name will be Solomon. He is the one who will build a temple to honor my name. He will be my son, and I will be his father, and I will secure the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever." God promises David that he will secure Solomon's throne forever, even if Solomon disobeys God. Yet another verse states, "I will confirm him, Solomon, as king over my house and my kingdom for all time, and his throne will be secure forever." According to these verses, God not only promises David that his descendants will sit on the throne forever, but God makes the same promise to Solomon. Any future king, including the Messiah, will need to be a direct male descendant of not only David, but Solomon as well. This means that the Messiah cannot be a descendant of Nathan. Thanks for watching.